Welcome to season 2 of where we take things from a big scale to a smaller scale for the DIYers at home, the hobbyists, the craft makers, the future tradesmen of America can get exposed to tools, trades, everything right here. And this season is going to be focused on, you guessed it, the plasma. This has been the #1 thing that y'all have been asking me to do. I'm very excited to introduce y'all to some very special things that have been happening behind the scenes with Northern Tool and with Hypertherm. And that includes the machine that we're gonna use this season. Hold on, let me get it. This, the Power Max 33 XP by Hypertherm, the masters and Porsche of the plasma cutting game. Outside of this being the coolest and the best plasma cutter on the market, Northern Tool is about to start selling these in stores. Not just these, but 2 other plasma cutters that Hypertherm produces, including one that has a built-in air compressor called the 30 Air. To be able to tell you guys this is huge. For the Porsche of plasma to be in retail stores, come on people. You have to get your butts to the store and you have to buy one of these. So let's pull it out of the box and see what's in there. The cool thing about this is staying right on theme with the tiny but mighty is this machine. And this thing has the strength of an industrial plasma cutter, but gives you the ideal realistic movements of something you can just plug into your shop at home and use. Also, has an adapter to plug into 120 and an adapter to turn it into 240. This machine does require an air compressor. My suggestion here is to just start with a smaller air compressor. When you start building into bigger and larger patterns, of course, you're gonna need more air pressure and more output. Then we can talk about upgrading your air compressor to something bigger. But in the meantime, we're keeping things on a smaller scale. So a small air compressor will work just fine for this. I'm kind of thinking, I have a bunch of these old welding bottle caps. What if we turn them into a light show? Maybe like a candle sleeve cover? You'll get the point when we start cutting into it. So let's take a stroll through Scrap Alley and find what we need. This weather. Did you see I painted the door? You know, adult things. We have to, level up here. It was 82 degrees yesterday, and then now it's cold and gray and gloomy. I'm ready for spring. My favorite thing about this spot now is that it is so organized. I can find anything and everything. Everything has a place, a spot, and as I collect more, it just goes into its right place and its right spot, and I can find it all. I've got a bunch of these caps. These went on welding gas bottles. So I'm kind of thinking this could be a perfect little something to go over a candle or a light to give the light show that we want. Let's take these inside and see if they'll work. This is gonna be my favorite craft, I think. Let's get started. Oh, yowie. Okay, I have these. I like the biggest one because the biggest one is a bigger candle. So we're gonna use this one versus the others, and we'll just set these aside. You know the rules. We have to cover up our skin and this beautiful hair. So let me go get some PPE. I have welding jacket, gloves. Now with plasma, you're gonna wanna wear a thicker glove just because the heat is kind of intense, but not anything to be scared of. And then of course, a welding helmet. Now, I use a welding helmet. Some people use a face shield, but I like to protect my eyes in like a tint standpoint. I have green eyes, and so they basically absorb all light in all forms and fashions. It's basically like wearing sunglasses if I wear my welding hood. And I use it on a cut mode or grind mode on like the highest setting, so that way it's just shaded. We'll go over a few basics before we get started. You can kind of just dive right into the patterns that I cut But sometimes you have to crawl before you can walk, and you have to learn how to walk before you can run. And that's kind of what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna give y'all a space to where you can see how to create a pattern from the beginning, and then you can kind of develop it into whatever you want to later. Let's get this machine going. I guess right now we could plug in the air, but it's gonna be loud, so we're gonna have to wait patiently for the air tank to fill up. Let's go do that. We're gonna use this adapter to turn this into 240 and get it plugged in. Okay. Now, air. The air, it just goes right into the back of the machine. Oh my God, I didn't ever think that air compressor was gonna fill up. Okay, now we can get back on to our activities. Let's talk about the 33XP. We have the torch. The box also comes with consumables. It comes with a ground, of course, because you got a ground. This nifty little handle. We are going to cut away at this to turn this into a lace pattern. In the world of plasma, there is a positive and a negative space, and you have to find a good happy medium there. And it starts with taking some away and leaving some. And with that, basic patterns start with basic shapes. Today, we're gonna focus on the very, very, very beginning foundation of anything, and that is circles. There's already circles cut in this, so we're gonna kind of mimic that, build a circle pattern around this, and cut the top out, of course, because we don't want it to get hot. Last thing we need is to start fires, even though I'm a certified firefighter and I could put it out. But not everybody has that skill set. There is a few little techniques that can help make this go a lot smoother. Number one, how you're holding the torch and your body placement is key into getting good quality cuts, like as far as something that is nice and smooth. So making sure that you have control of your limbs. This is your root. So that way everything that's coming out of this torch will be controlled. Instead of just talking about it, let me just show y'all how this works. Number one, you're going to have to ground the material, like always. All right, we're gonna cut this on cut mode. All right, now let's pull the torch trigger to make sure it works. It does. I love the plasma. It's my favorite thing. And you could also cut up people's cars as a revenge against them for anything. And you know, they'll never believe that you cut it because you're just a little girl. My dream car to cut up would be a brand new Ford Bronco in half, and then it goes to the scrapyard. We're just gonna dive into this. I promise you, if you don't think it's good, it's okay, because you're on your way to having the best cuts with practice. So we're gonna start by cutting a hole through the top. So you can see there is a hole, but I kind of think I want to do it a little bit bigger. I like to start small and cut away so I don't overcut. So I suggest starting with a small hole and then cut away until it's your desired size that you want. Okay, see, it doesn't have to be a perfect hole, but it's perfect to me, and that's all that matters. let's just start cutting holes into this thing and just see what happens. I also keep all the pieces that come out of whatever it is that I'm cutting because I use those for art later. So if you want to start collecting in your scrap pile for your own scrap alley, start keeping all your scraps. This thing works so great. Outside of Hypertherm being the best plasma on the planet, this thing is a workhorse, so it will deliver every single time. It doesn't matter what you're cutting. So it looks light industrial, but this thing feels like you're running a big machine in your shop, so it has the heavy industrial feel, which I love. I mean, look at those cuts. Right through the paint. Don't have to do any prep, no cleanup, and this thing just cuts right through it. Perfect. I love this machine. Wow, that looks great. I love plasma cutting because it turns basically anything into a light show. You know, and this metal is pretty thick. I believe it's like 12 days, which is pretty thick. And this little tiny plasma cutter is keeping right up. Good quality cuts, no issues. I like texture and things to be imperfect, so that's kind of what I'm doing, creating a little pattern here. Do you see how very basic this is? Look, we're almost done. What a fun craft. I've been wanting to do plasma with you guys for quite some time, so season 2 had to have plasma. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I love texture, I love imperfections, and so to me, this is perfect. I'm gonna go get a candle. We'll turn off the lights in here and see what it looks like. All right. Lights, a little moodier. I think that's perfect. What do y'all think? Do you think it looks cool? I think it looks cool. This is exactly how my love for plasma started. I just picked up the plasma cutter and just started cutting up anything and everything that I could cut up. I made a little candle holder. So if you think that you'll never get to a larger scale, first off, we need to change the mindset, because what you think is energy and what comes out of your mouth is energy. So if you think positively, it'll start growing and crafting into what you want it to be, which is what I did. So if I can do it, you can do it. So get out, recycle, reuse, and create art, because remember, there's no mistakes in art. It's something that's made with love.